The 90-day window is inching closer to its conclusion. I thought it'd be a good idea to rehash the CRPA versus LASD lawsuit. This was our challenge on CCWs in the county of LA. It resulted in reciprocity from out-of-state people to be able to get a CCW in California. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. That is right, we are going to take a break in some of these SHOT Show videos that we've been trying to bring you every day. I thought it was relevant to talk about the CRPA versus LASD lawsuit. That was our challenge to the County of Los Angeles Sheriff's Department on some of the delays and issues that we've been seeing with CCWs. We've got some cool results if you haven't been following along, but the expert attorney that we've brought in to talk about this, his name is on the lawsuits. He's an attorney from Michelle and Associates. That is Kostas Moros. Kostas, thanks for being with us today.
Always a pleasure, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, before we jump into this, please, as always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. It really helps drive this information with the algorithms out to as many people as possible. If you are looking for a way to directly contribute to litigation just like this, just go ahead and drop a like, share it with somebody that you know. It really helps get the information out there. So, Kostas, I know that we've hit on this before. For those who have not been following along on this, can you go ahead and just share with us, take us through the timeline here? What were the issues that we were having in LA with CCWs, and what was the challenge, and what was the timeline leading up to now?
Sure. So CRPA versus LASD is probably our most complicated Second Amendment lawsuit because it takes on several issues. One is, as you said, the long wait times for a CCW permit in Los Angeles County from the Sheriff's Department. We also have sued Laverne over their high fees for CCW permits. And we've sued the state for basically not having any way for non-residents to carry in California. So we claim both reciprocity, and we also claim, if not reciprocity, at least let people apply for a CCW permit. And we filed for a preliminary injunction. We got a partial win. The judge ruled for us as to the individual plaintiffs only on the wait times issue. And she also agreed with us that the state must at least let non-resident applicants apply for a CCW permit. And she tasked us alongside the state to come up with an order implementing her preliminary injunction. So that's what we did. We presented that to her in September. And last week or 2 weeks ago, we finally got the order signed, implementing non-resident carry, which will take effect 90 days from the day it was signed. So I think we have about 2.5 months left here or so. Yeah.
Well, I'm sort of curious on that. So that is where we currently are. We're in this 90-day wait period. What are we expecting out of this 90-day wait period?
It could be nothing, or it could be that the state will come up with an application. So the proposed order gives the DOJ the option, but not the obligation, to formulate an application for non-residents to use. If they don't formulate such an application, then non-residents just apply like everyone else. They usually go to something like Permitium. That's what most of the departments use, although not all of them. And they enter their information, and the order provides that for stuff that they don't have. For example, when it asks for a California driver's license, they would just give their driver's license number in their state of residence. So we've basically designed the order such that it fits a round peg into a square hole, as they say. Even though this wasn't built for non-residents, we made it so that the order makes it so that it will also work for them, even if we have to kind of force the issue.
Can you talk for a little bit about just the people that this applies to? We've seen this one or two times in the past where a judge applies their opinion specifically to the plaintiffs. How exactly does that come about throughout the judicial process? Is that something that's written into the complaint? And if not, then why exactly does that happen?
Sure. So it's true that this order is limited to the associations, the members of the associations. Of course, it's not limited by date. So you can become a CRPA member, GOA member, whatever else, at any time and then apply. And it's also not clear how much each individual department is going to verify this membership. So will they just ask you to attest to it and say, yes, I'm a CRPA member, or will they ask for proof of membership? We don't know yet. We'll have to see what each one does. But it's possible that different sheriffs will not really enforce that. It's going to be up to them. So the reason it's so limited is because judges don't like to issue broad-based injunctions, especially lately. They want to limit the relief, and the Supreme Court has indicated they prefer this too, to limit the relief to the parties in the litigation. And some of the parties in this litigation, of course, are the pro-gun associations like CRPA. So that it can cover their membership, even if it doesn't apply to everyone. Now, when you get a final judgment, of course, we would want to see the system apply to everyone. But for the purposes of a preliminary injunction, it's not unusual to limit relief to the parties in the lawsuit.
Right. Well, I mean, take us through this now. I mean, it's part of the process. If you are going to become a member of one of these associations that was a plaintiff on this lawsuit, I guess put yourself in the shoes of somebody on the outside of California looking in. What as far as you understand, is going to be the process for somebody out of state to apply for a CCW in California?
In, I don't know, Arizona. So you live in Arizona, you have your Arizona CCW, but until now you've had no way to carry in California. They don't honor your Arizona CCW. They don't have constitutional carry in California, obviously, and there's been no way to apply. So now you can apply for a California CCW permit. The first step is to identify a sheriff or police department you want to apply with. And one of the things the order demands is that you must have a good faith intention of visiting that jurisdiction. This is to stop, I think, everyone from just running up to some rural county that they perceive as easier to get a permit from. But what I would advise people is, yes, definitely don't lie, but make sure you have a good faith intention of visiting these places. But once you have established that you're going to visit these places, if there's more than one, make sure you pick a friendly one if possible. So, for example, if you're that Arizona resident, I would highly suggest looking at Riverside County, especially if you're going to be driving through Riverside County on your trip to Disneyland or whatever. If you're going to be driving through there anyway, then that's grounds to say that you're going to be in that jurisdiction. So you have a good faith intention of visiting. And, Riverside County is popular because Sheriff Bianco has done a good job trying to do the best he can in California to honor the right to carry. So they issue permits there. You still have to jump through all the hoops, of course, but they issue permits there in under 3 months, often under 2 months. Whether or not they will be flooded with non-resident applicants, we'll have to see. Maybe it'll slow down for a bit as they are, dealing with this overflow. But we don't know yet how many people are actually going to try to take advantage of this process because it is still a demanding process. So the first thing you do is you choose your sheriff's department or your local PD. Then you fill out the application. It's usually available online. And you do after you submit the application, you have to identify the firearms also that you want to carry. And remember, in California, you will have to, often it's limited to 3, but some departments don't have a limit. But you'll have to identify by make, model, and serial number the firearms you want to carry, and you will eventually need to qualify with those firearms as well. So it's not like other states where you get a CCW permit and then you can carry any gun you own. And these are actually put on the permit. So you'll be responsible for that. You'll also be responsible for making sure you comply with other California laws. So that means 10-round magazines, no threaded barrels, that kind of thing. So after you've applied, you'll get to do an interview, and we've made it so that the police interview, you do not have to do in person. You can if you want. If you want to come here and do the interview, that's fine. But if you appear by audio and video, you can do the interview remotely. Similarly, with the required training. So once you get through that step and you do a required training, we have the order written such that you can do an online course. And if your local sheriff's department that you're applying with has not approved an online course, then you can do it with an online course approved by any other sheriff in the county. So you can complete this online. And then when it comes to the live fire training, again, you can come here if you want, but if you prefer not to travel to California, what you do is you tell the sheriff or police chief who you want to do your qualification with. So you find a firearm trainer in your area and you say, I'm going to do my qualification shooting with this person. And then if the sheriff rejects it, if they don't like that trainer for some reason, they have to suggest a trainer within 75 miles of your location to do the training with. By the way, the same applies with the psych exam, but I would definitely not suggest you apply to one of the departments that requires a psych exam if you can avoid it, because not only do they tend to take longer, that's going to add $500 to your cost. And why would you subject yourself to that? Most jurisdictions in California do not have that ridiculous requirement, so avoid the ones who do. Um, and then once you complete your training, you'll also have to do your fingerprinting, because remember, live scan doesn't work across state lines. So you would use the I think it's FBI 258 or something. There's a fingerprint card that you can get done. You mail that in. And once everything's done and you're approved, then they will mail you your bright, shiny, new, hard-earned California CCW permit. So I'm shortening it, but I know I just talked for an hour there, but that's the nutshell of how this will work. We tried to design it so even though there's still all these important hoops to jump through, you could actually complete it from your home state without having to come into California. That was a big objective for us that we did manage to get out of the state, so we're proud of that.
Well, hard earned indeed, a process that a lot of Californians are already familiar with, but certainly it can seem daunting if you're coming from a state that just doesn't require you to do all of these things, and then you want to get a CCW in the state of California and realize, holy smokes, I got to go through all of this stuff. But yeah, definitely not being forced to come into the state just to get the license is an added bonus there. So, good on you for getting that done, because that could probably be a deterrent also for a lot of people who just wouldn't want to go through that process.
Existing law, you would have had to come here to do an interview in person. You would have had to do your training here. You would have had to do your live scan here. So we've made all those steps, possible to do from your home state.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, but before final thoughts, I'm also curious. So a little bit earlier, you mentioned that there's a 90-day window since the order was given. You said that whether law enforcement got the application created or not. So is this 90-day window, is this 90th day a hard deadline? We're expecting them to come up with an application process, but is that something that the 90th day, this will be acceptable into California regardless of whatever processes are created or not?
Yeah, and actually, we're not expecting them to come up with a process. The order gives them the option. If the DOJ wants to create a separate application for non-residents to use, they have that option. But actually, the order is written assuming that they do not do that. So, assuming that they do not actually take advantage of that option, then yeah, on the 91st day, you can start applying. You just go to the portals, and I'm sure there will be some hiccups. There will probably be like some technical issue, this or that will need to be ironed out, because again, we are fitting a square peg into a round hole, or whatever that phrase is. So there might be some growing pains, but as the order is written, once the 90 days are up, this is starting. So yeah.
Well, something to look forward to. I mean, something exists now that didn't exist prior, allowing people to carry firearms in the state of California. I guess overall, you can't really say that's a loss if more people are having that right in the state. So definitely some progress there. However, this is also a lawsuit. I'm curious what your final thoughts are as far as appeals are concerned. That's something that we're definitely used to here in the state, but we're moving forward with this one thing. There were also things that we didn't get out of the complaint that we filed. Any looking in the future, any opportunity for that to get appealed or changed in any way?
No, so we decided against appealing the stuff we lost on for now, because it was a preliminary injunction. And we've learned with the Supreme Court that they don't want interlocutory cases. So while we might make some exceptions from time to time if we think it's important enough to try, here we just figured, you know what? We're just going to speed this on towards final judgment, unless the parties may settle on some issues. We'll have to see. But otherwise, we're just going to go forward. We have a trial currently set for November 2025. So we're just going to get our final judgment and appeal then. We're not doing this whole preliminary injunction appeal thing just for, even if we win in the Ninth Circuit, it gets unbanked, and then the Supreme Court says, come back to us when you have a final judgment. We don't care. So we're not going to play that game anymore. We're just going to get our final judgment, and that way it's more efficient. Yeah.
So as far as right now is concerned, the injunction is there on some things. We're moving forward with the CCWs being able to be brought in from out of state, or at least out of state people being able to get CCWs here in the state. I'm sure we'll be circling around in November. Once a lot of this is a little bit more wrapped up, and see, I guess, then if an appeal is going to be appropriate or not. Costas, I appreciate it. This was actually very helpful. I know that there's a lot of stuff going out online that's referencing this. So thank you very much for kind of putting this straight for us. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Always a pleasure to be on. Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, once again, if you want to contribute to litigation and legislative efforts here in California in regards to the Second Amendment, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. We've seen this kind of circulating online. I kind of wanted to take a break as far as the SHOT Show videos are concerned that we've been trying to bring you since we were there at SHOT Show. We still have some more, so stay in tune for those. If you haven't seen the ones that have already come out, you can go ahead and just click on the link to the CRPA TV channel. You can hear from people like the American Suppressors Association to see if we can get a lawsuit here in California on suppressors, and so much more. We tried to get as much information as we can from some of these influential people in the state in regards to the Second Amendment. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.